So here is another application of the nature of roots of the quadratic equation. So in complex examples, you won't just apply b squared minus 4ac directly without understanding the problem. Like in here, it says we're looking for the value of k. We're looking for the value of k that will make the equation y equals 2k plus 5x minus 2x squared to be negative for all values of x. You see, if you don't understand or if you cannot interpret this statement that it has to be negative for all values of x, you won't know how to start the solution of the problem. Okay, so let's visualize what does it mean when y equals 2k plus 5x minus 2x squared is negative for all values of x. Okay, so here is the idea. When we say that y is negative for all values of x, so that means if we graph the y, so the y is the equation 2 or y equals 2k plus 5x minus 2x squared. If you want it to be negative, then you have to place the graph where y is negative. And in a Cartesian plane, the x-axis divides the y-axis in such a way that all the numbers below it will be negative and all the numbers above it will be positive. So if we will be graphing y equals 2kx or 2k plus 5x minus 2x squared, now given that the a is negative 2, so that will tell us that the parabola should be in this orientation. So if we want all the values of y, meaning all parts of this graph should be negative, then that means that the graph should not go any, or like it should not be touching the x-axis or go above the x-axis. So it can only be placed anywhere below the x-axis. So maybe the graph is here, maybe the graph is here, but it should never be touching the x-axis nor crossing the x-axis. Okay, so it should be just under the x-axis. Now, what is the relationship of the nature of the roots in the graph of a parabola into which it is not touching the x-axis? If you remember the idea or the relationship of the roots to that of the graph, when the graph is not crossing the x-axis, that means it has no roots, because the intersection on the x-axis are actually, or the intersection of the x-axis are the roots of the equation. So since there are no intersections on the x-axis, it means this particular equation has no real roots. And from here, we can already say that the b squared minus 4ac should be less than 0. And that's how the nature of the roots is being applied now. Okay, knowing that the graph can only be below the x-axis, then that means it has no real roots, which means b squared minus 4ac should be less than 0. And from here, all we have to do is to use b squared minus 4ac less than 0. So let's get the equation again. So y is equal to 2k plus 5x minus 2x squared. If I arrange this is negative 2x squared plus 5x minus 2k. That's 2k. So minus 2k or plus 2k, positive 2k, which means A should be negative 2, B should be 5, and C should be 2k. Now combining the idea that b squared minus 4ac should be less than 0, we now have b squared, 5 squared, minus 4 times a, negative 2, times c, which is 2k, should be less than 0. And just simplify that. So we have 25. These three expressions will be combined into 4 times 2 times 2. That's 16. Since we have negative or minus and negative, so we have plus 16 with the k and then less than 0. Okay, so we're almost there. So as you can see, we have 25 plus 16k. Solving for k, I can manipulate this inequality into 16k is less than 25 or negative 25, and then divided by 16 divided by 16. So we have we write k is less than, so this will cancel, negative 25 over 16. So that's approximately 1 point something. Okay, but the idea, so if we place this on a number line, so 0 is somewhere here, and then negative 25 over 16 is on the left of 0. So we can only accept numbers that are on the left of negative 25 over 16. So any number less than negative 25 over 16. So just to get a better estimate, we change this into a mixed number. So k is less than negative, so that's about 1, and we need 9 over 16. Okay, so it's around negative 1.5. Okay, so going back just to see what we did here again, the most crucial part of the solution is to really understand what does it mean by the equation negative for all values of x. And we said if it's negative for all values of x, that means the graph should be below the x-axis. And with that, we were able to say that b squared minus 4ac should be less than 0 because the equation has no real roots. And from there on, we just work on b squared minus 4ac less than 0 until we simplify the inequality and we were able to produce k to be less than negative 1 and 9/16, or approximately less than negative 1.5. So the only values of k that will make the equation negative are the k that are less than negative 1 and 9 over 16. For example, like negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, even the fractions like negative 1 and 10 over 16, and so on. Okay, so all the numbers less than that, negative 1 over 16. Okay, so I hope you understand the explanation here. Again, if you have any, if you're confused with any of the parts of the video, just move to that portion and then just watch it again. Okay, so that's it.